This is David Tulis, and we argue for local economy and the free market. We're live on Facebook every day at the Nooga Radio channel on Facebook, and I am you might say, the leading Nooga centrist. I'm the blogger with the biggest pen in Chattanooga, and that would be our radio station towers, varying in various towers that boom across the landscape. I'd say most significantly is our digital channel, and that's 95.3 HD4. That is HD, high definition 4. And I do appreciate your giving me just a couple minutes of your time. We're brought to you by Nooganomics.com, and there's a story that goes in detail this morning from a writer from whom I've received many blessings and benefits. His name is Bojdar Marinov. He's a Bulgarian Texan, and is involved in the idea and defends the idea of Christian Reconstruction. And has as his arguments out of the Holy Scriptures, the defense of open borders, the defense of new blood, new people, the belief that every human being is valuable, every human being is made in God's image and has a mouth. Yes, he consumes, he takes resources, he eats things, he drinks things, but he also has, at the same time, 2 hands, and that is to say, he is creative, he's inventive. He makes things. He works for other people. He works for himself. He raises family, raises children. And there is a person here in Chattanooga whose job through Chattanooga State is to promote this idea. Now, it's not an idea that she promotes in terms of Holy Writ, but nonetheless, it is one of welcome to visitors, to strangers, to immigrants here in Chattanooga. Her name is Gladys Pineda-Loher, and she is involved through Chattanooga State. Gladys, tell my listener why immigration. First of all, why immigration is a good thing and not a bad thing. He tends to think that it's a bad phenomenon, that somehow we're giving up the country to strangers. We are losing our way. We are being invaded, as it were. In what sense is that idea mistaken or inaccurate?
Thank you, David, first of all, for the opportunity. I'm excited by the fact that you have been inviting me to explain something that I do. On the other hand, believe it is my ministry. So independently that I work, it's my line of work, it is my ministry. And I believe that is the right thing to do.
Ministry, as in a sense of your Christian, having a Christian conviction about your work, which is separate in a way. You're hired from a state organization, not an evangelical organization, but there's an alignment you're suggesting between that work and your Christian perspective.
You are right. I definitely was finding the job that allowed me to do my ministry through it. Being an immigrant myself, I'm originally from Colombia, South America, and that to me, it is important to come and give back to the community that maybe don't have the opportunities and the, I guess, privilege, if you will, that I had, and didn't come in the way that I came to this country. So to me, yes, it was an opportunity that Chat State, and before that was the Chamber of Commerce, where I developed the International Business Council. In that capacity, before I came into Chat State, I was able to develop the International Business Council, which is composed of 45 countries, 26 languages, and 3 generations. Well, I surveyed 175 Hispanics building business at the beginning, and that was a very important part for me. Initially, we were planning to do a more oriented, like a Hispanic council, but the reality at the time that I came into the Chamber of Commerce, we had Volkswagen coming on board also, and all these international companies with their suppliers. So it was the need of creating this International Business Council where we were able to support the business that were needing to get maybe some of them more organized. So you cannot compare the Guatemalan community with the German community. Of course, we have different needs and the people come from different reasons, but then from my perspective, are not less important. We are a community college in Chat State, and we have to address the needs of this important segment of the community. As an immigrant,
how is Chat State doing that?
Well, exactly. So from Chat State, I kind of developed the relation with the business community, which allowed me to bring now everything's come back to education. I saw through my 5 years working with the Chamber of Commerce as a diversity person, I saw face by face in all those this business how they were needing to have some education and how the next generations were going to take over of this business. Because if you know, many of the immigrants, what they come to do, they try to find what business are we going to do, and which implied that that's more income for. They're trying to do the things right, so they just need the help from us. They do need the support for them to navigate the system. So how Chattanooga State do that? When I was invited to be part of Chat State, one of the things and I was told is, we want that you help us to increase the pipeline of diverse community. That means in my particular case, they were wanting to take advantage of my experience working 10 years in Knoxville with Hispanic community and my experience with the local international community with the chamber. And in that moment, I developed 3 main programs, and I took advantage of the fact that we developed that the International Business Council. So we brought the perspective of the business leaders, but we also had the community at large, the educational community. And we developed the first program, which is the Cultural Ambassadors and International Achievers. That's a network. It's a partnership between the city of Chattanooga, Hamilton County, and our college. So basically, it is to generate like the post is to people, individuals such as myself, or anybody really that is immigrant or English language learner or refugee, that have the opportunity to be part of a network. And it has 2 pieces. The cultural ambassador is the immigrant that is fully integrated, such as myself or yourself. And the international achiever is the emerging leaders, the newcomers, the students, these dreamers that maybe we'll be talking about, all these children that maybe some of the children that came into this country at an early age, so some of them are really born here, because the things then also something is happening is the demographic trends are changing. And so coming back to the program, so cultural ambassadors is the network.
And that's cultural ambassadors?
Yes, cultural ambassadors and international achievers. So we have like as I said, 2 components of that. One is kind of more the fully integrated, and the other one is the one that we're mentoring, if you will. So the second program is called Bridges to Success. Bridges to Success started 5 years ago, and it's a partnership. That I call it Bridges to Success. All of these are initiatives that I kind of spearhead. So in the moment that we started with the Bridges to Success, I was planning to do a partnership with the county and a partnership with the city. All of these always have been trying to focus in the English language learners. So just to explain, Bridges to Success started with a group of 75 English language learners in the city that were needing to have access to ESL programs, English as a second language programs. So we did a partnership with the Office of Multicultural Affairs for the city of Chattanooga, and we offered to 75 local residents, English language learners, the opportunity to have that English as a second language as part of the adult basic education program that we used to have at Chat State, where they can also continue with the GED, now called HiSET. So many of the testimonies that we had at the very end when we had the graduation is people that was able to obtain their driver license and were able to advocate for their own children or talk to their teachers. And it was very satisfying in many levels, because really we are helping these students or these residents to get fully engaged and involved even in the life of their children.
We're talking with Gladys Pineda-Loher of Chat State. Now, Gladys, my listener is losing patience with you. Here's what he's thinking. He's thinking we don't need more immigrants. We don't need people who have a different culture than we do here from our Anglo-Saxon culture. We don't want people coming here taking advantage of our the welfare system. There are numerous arguments that they make, which in the end are what as I explained at Nooganomics today, is part of the argument of the left. The left the progressive position has always been against immigration, and in fact, President Obama deported more immigrants than the 5 previous presidents combined. And the conservative position is, in fact, the free market position, which, in fact, is the open borders position. That's the analysis I give in a larger perspective, but also because we're here. And my listener, I would like to have you address this question. First of all, the overall question about immigration, and then number two, his duty as a man in Chattanooga, when he deals with someone who is an immigrant, how should he deal with that person? Should he deal with that person with hostility as his ideology might suggest? Or should he really lay aside his kind of political opinions and say, okay, here's a person with whom I can do business, whom I can help, whom I can hire, or whom I can do business with?
Okay. So
that's a lot to ask, but go ahead.
It's a lot to ask, but I'm going to try to do my best here. So one, I will say that the immigrants are a very important part of Chattanooga or this country, and I'm going to tell you why. We are talking about the plans of the state. So Governor Haslam talks about Drive to 55. Chattanooga is talking about Chattanooga 2.0. The goals of we are going in 2025, adults are going to have some sort of certificate training or diploma. What are we going to do to achieve those goals? When we are talking that we are securing education for all means all. These students are here, and it's our duty, in many levels, I will say, to help them to pay back what maybe your audience is thinking that they did wrong. So paying back, it will be because these students, I know for experience, and these students want to contribute. They want to move forward.
And the state of Tennessee and taxpayers are investing in these people as they are growing up here. If they're students, they're receiving investment of the people of Tennessee, the people of the United States. And we want them to be productive. We want them to be successful. And we don't want them to go back. We want them to stay here if they have received tax dollars as kind of an investment in their futures.
Exactly. It's kind of a return on investment, if you will, because these students have been here since the moment that they started in contact with the public education system. And when they are in the high school, when I just was doing a tour of DuPont Elementary, just to give you an example. When you enter to the classes and the demographics are changing, so if we don't do something, we are going to lose that investment if that's how your audience is looking at it. I look at it in a different way, but I'm talking to your audience. So right. From your perspective, the perspective of your audience, they are always concerned where the taxes, the money is going.
And the educational system is funded by property taxes, and everybody can take advantage of it. So here we have immigrants from Guatemala, from Colombia, where you're from, Gladys, Pineda-Loher, and we're talking here about the DACA students, those who are here from the deferred action of early childhood arrivals program that President Trump is thinking of stopping. They're here. They're receiving public investment. We want them now to prosper if they're here. We don't want them to go back to Colombia, back to Mexico. We want them to stay here and be productive, create new jobs, new businesses, new capital, new profit, new investment, more hands, right? We want more hands in Chattanooga.
Exactly. I know. If you look at the number of business, when I came here in 2009 from Knoxville, I remember when I did that survey of 175 business. I remember one of the business had just one store. If you ask me today, that store had 16 other stores. I mean, the headquarters that started in downtown, now we have 16 of them. What that represents, they're paying taxes. And now the next generation, the kids of the parents that started all this business, they need to be prepared because they want to contribute again, and they are contributing day by day with their own, effort. And these students, you're not asking me for this, David, but these students are the type of the students that want to be part. They want to
be Americans.
They are starving for opportunities. They work, like I have students in Howard, just to give you an example of many. I have students on Howard, and they are telling me they have 2 or 3 jobs after they finish high school. That's not the typical student. That's not like your kids or my kids. These kids do it, and they do it well. That tells me a lot about the character, about the opportunities that are going to create them for all of us, because they are going to pay us back. What we are investing in that education, if you look at it in that way, and it's a great blessing for all of us, but it will go back to us, because you know what? They are creating more startups. One of the students was telling me she is doing computer support technician, class with Chat Stay, she was telling me, I can't wait until it's finished because I want to put my repair shop. And I know that she will. And that's the type of person that I know that she has another job and she comes to school and she's tired. Our kids don't have that situation.
Well, if you're running a farm with strawberries and you need people to hire Gladys Pineda-Loher of Chat State, or you're in the roofing business and you're needing someone to help you lay the tile down, or you're a contractor and you have wallboard that needs to go up under deadline, there probably are not better people to hire than immigrants. And reports I hear, as I'm a salesman, I'm in local economy every day, big time. I meet business people, I meet owners. I look at the help wanted signs. The lack in the workforce is not among the immigrants, meaning the quality of worker, but among Caucasians and others who are the natives. They are the ones who are slack. They're the ones who are lazy. They have an entitlement mentality, whereas newcomers who yearn to be Americans, they want what's best America. They want to live out that ideal. They're not going to have any of that. They're going to work hard and create businesses and create opportunities for themselves and my listener's children. Maybe he will hire your son, my listener's son, or your daughter.
And things are changing. Is you're going to start seeing more and more immigrant children already. Like, for example, I have a case. She's already about to be graduated from UTC. So a student that came saying, I remember this student, I'm going to, she came to my office and she was crying and I was saying, what's going on? She said, I just found out that I'm not an American. I was filling out the FAFSA form and I realized that I'm not an American. And then she started to tell me how she cannot even relate to the country that she was born. She was brought here at the age of 1. She was passive by, and yes, that's the way that it was carried by the coyote like his own child. That's not the best thing I know you like to hear.
The coyote, is that the smuggler?
Exactly. So
across the border.
These kids have to go through a lot of stuff, but what I'm saying, this girl cannot relate at all with the country that she was born. And so many of the people in the audience will think, oh, just let's pack them and send them back to where they belong. Guess what? This person is more American than many other Americans here.
And holds high to the ideals of America, the idea of the marketplace, of freedom, of independence. Now, if you want to find out more about DACA, which has been in the news lately, you need to go to Nooganomics.com. Go ahead and subscribe. Subscribe now, like Nooganomics.com, just like we ask you to like Nooga Radio on Facebook. There's an essay by an important writer. His name is Boji Marinov, and he makes the argument for local economy and the free market and defends DACA. He clears up numerous misrepresentations from the schizophrenic right about that provision, and makes the case that the children of foreign countries are in fact a blessing. They're not part of a coup to overturn the American way. That's not at all what's happened. And in fact, we should be, you, my listeners, should be gracious to every immigrant, especially where there's one who's needing help, who has a conflict with officialdom, or an unjust relationship in employment, perhaps. You, my listener, I would urge you to be helpful and look out for the stranger. It is a biblical admonition to care for the alien and the stranger. God gives him special protections, just as he does the orphan and the widow. Gladys, how can my listener find out more about your work at Chat State?
Yes, we do lots of stuff in our Office of International Community Outreach at Chat State. We have 3 main programs, and you can go to our website, www.chattanoogastate.com, and go into our Office of International Community Outreach to learn more about the opportunities, how we are sponsoring and supporting the access, and how we are welcoming the immigrants and helping them to create a better pathway for themselves and for the community at large.
Well, this is David Tulis, and we argue here for near over small, small over big, and simple over complex. And in the footnotes, always with sans serif type, because I like letters without the serif. The serif is like a knife. When you read the Tennessee Code or you read the U.S. Code written by Congress, there's a knife on every letter, and that's a little serif, a little blade at the end of the letter. I like sans serif type. I prefer Helvetica, because Helvetica is the Swiss type, and it's neutral, and it doesn't have any threat or compulsion or coercion at all on any letter whatsoever. And in Helvetica type, even in the small print, even in the footnotes, I argue that personal is better than corporate and that physical is better than abstract. Our show today, the David Tulis Show, is brought to you by Nooganomics.com. And Gladys Pineda-Loher, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Gladys is with Chat State and oversees the international program there, the international outreach program. We are brought to you by Nooganomics.com. Check out the free market argument that I make. It is a new and fresh perspective. I urge you, my listener, to be open to a new idea, be open to the revision I propose through the fine work of Bochar Marinoff at Nooganomics.com. Local economy and the free markets here now. David Tulis, live every day at 9. Tell a friend.
Traffic, news, and information. Nooga Radio, digital FM 95.3.